Welcome, friends. So I'm just going to show you some very nice development in the Shri Jyoti Star 10.2. And we have always had a Bhava chart, and there's a version of the house chart for the house system you selected. And there's also different charts from different ascendants. So essentially everything has been combined, so it make it simpler and easier to use. And a nice new feature has been added. So if we look at this chart, on the right here, I put the circle chart. The advantage of the circle chart, if you choose to use it, is that it shows the signs between these lines here. Of course, it shows the planets. It shows the houses, which are here defined by the North Indian chart lines, which can be switched to using just lines showing the houses rather than a North Indian style. But the nice thing about the North Indian chart is that it actually, if you put it on top of a circle, it divides the circle into 12 equal parts, which is something that the Greeks valued a lot. So the ancient Greeks. So anyway, and then it shows you the planets exactly as they're positioned in the sign and in the house. So you see, for example, here the sun is in the 11th house in the house chart view, while Mars is just inside the 10th house, hardly. And if we click here, we can turn on the nakshatras, so you can see, okay, the sun is in Chitra and Mars is in Hasta and Mercury is in Uttara Falguni. So these little lines here, and these are the names. And you can also put another chart on the inside, and then you can choose which Varga is on the inside, and you can also change the Varga on the outside. So you can have an enormous amount of power in one chart. But most people, or many people, like using a standard chart rather than a circle, though of course once you start using it, it becomes quite addictive. So if we go over here on this side, we can just click here, and then we're going to select, we're going to type Bhava house. Now down here you see global house system is currently switched for Chalit or Shripati. Shripati is the sort of unequal house system used in Vedic astrology quite a lot. And unequal means the houses are determined based on the ascendant and the midheaven. In an equal house chart, it's only the ascendant that's determining the houses, and the midheaven is kind of ignored. So there are different house systems, but this is the basic idea. So let's leave it at Shripati, and then we see here we have house chart, or house chart from ascendant planets and more. It's basically the same. It's the same now, because they're two variations of the same chart. So let's just drag it out a bit so we can make it as big as this one. So here we see this is the house chart, Shripati house chart from the ascendant. So it basically looks like this, without the precision that this one has. Now we can get more precision with this. What you see here is that the house chart is from the ascendant, and here we have choices, which we don't have here. We can have the house chart from the sun, from the moon, and many other points, including some special ascendants, and the current Mahadasha Lord, and the Atmakaraka. And in the Jaimini version, there's a whole lot of more advanced special ascendants like Divya Lagna and so on. So what we can do here is we can add the degrees. So we click here, we type a bit of degree, and then we can show the degree. Or we can choose to show the degree along with the Rashi Navamsha, which is kind of convenient. So what we see here, this is from the sun, and the sun happens to be in Virgo, and it's at 26 degrees 35. And this is the actual degree. Now, there are two things that we can see here. There's the actual degree, or if we click on this, we get the relative degree. Now, why would we want the relative degree? It's very simple. See, if you study Parashara, Maharshi Parashara, then he's explaining that if a planet falls in the middle of a house, that's the Vedic house cusp, then the effect on the house is maximum. And if it falls very near the beginning or the end of the house, then the yogas which involve the house are rather minimal in their effect. So when it comes to interpretation, if we're following Parashara, this is a very important factor. So by switching to relative degrees, we can see. Now, if this is from the sun will always be listed as 15 because it's the acting as the ascendant. If we go back to the ascendant like this, so you see the ascendants are 15 degrees, and Venus is listed at just over 1 degree. And if you look here at the circle, you can see Venus is right at the beginning of the first house. And then if we look, we saw Mars was very near the end of the 10th house. So here it's listed at 27, while the sun is early in the 11th house. So you've got in this standard kind of chart, you have really the same information, only it's more visual here. But you have the advantage that you can switch to many different, say we're on the lunar chart. Now, the reason why it comes out as equal house instead of Shripati is because from a planet, there's no actual meaning. There's no sort of astronomical meaning to having an unequal house system. The unequal house system is based on the Lagna and the midheaven, which are points which are connecting the Earth with the sky. But from the moon, for example, or any planet, it's a kind of meaningless in a sense. But that's not to say that some astrologers don't use it, and I honor them totally for their point of view. So actually, if you look into it, and this is one of the Aya options, we have use house system from ascendant for all planets to planet relationships. So wherever there's a planet-to-planet relationship, it's actually using the Shripati if Shripati's been selected. And so you get, it's just a modification. You're taking the standard chart from the ascendant, and then you're looking at the relative positions of the planets. So this is the way the house chart now is. It's very similar to how it was before, and it's been more organized and it's more simplified. And really, basically, there's one chart with various choices here. So I hope you find that useful. Just to recap, I think, remind the point of the relative degree. So we're looking here, we say Venus is right in the middle of the 9th house. So yoga's related to Venus being in the 9th house. And this is from the moon, of course. Notice this is from the moon. So what we see, we're looking here, the moon is here in Pisces and Venus is here in Scorpio. So you can see it's a little bit past the middle of the 9th. Now, the 9th from the moon is a place of great auspiciousness. This is one of the things we learn from Maharshi Jaimani and the ancient rishis. So this effect of Venus in this chart will be particularly strong. And this is a chart of famous politician, young politician in the United States, who's definitely up and coming. Now people are starting to talk about she might run for president one day. And definitely she's got the luck with her with this Venus and in its position from the moon. So this is helping us make our analyses. And we see the sun is relatively weak from the point of view of house position. So we're considering it as in the 8th from the moon. That's not a serious flaw here. So you see that's basically how we're using these house positions. So I hope you have a lovely day and thank you very much for watching.